Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to A Drink with Crazy. What's going on, everybody? Oh my God. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be awesome. We've got a great guest tonight. I'm very excited about this.
Who let the otter in?
I don't know. But I'm going to ask a question about that here in a minute. What's going on? Oh, I hear Royce smokes otters in his smoker. Ooh, I wonder how otter tastes.
Oh no, I should probably leave.
I've never thought about that.
Well, it was nice being on the stream and all. I think I'll see you later.
There's got to be people that eat otter, right?
I don't want to know.
Please, anyway, what's going on? AC Pritchard, Eric Wag, Bill McEwiston. I think he spelled that phonetically correct for me. Wrangler, what's going on? Lee Yu and the Hedge, what's going on? Oh man, and uses otter oil to add a luster sheen to his wig. No,
Damn
I
it,
don't.
Herman.
I don't add anything to my wig. The wig is how the wig is. So I am really excited for this tonight because my boy has his second book coming out. And it is really fun. I've gotten to know Lord Otter very well over the years. We played tabletop together, the Star Shatter game for quite a while. That was absolutely awesome. And since then, he's working on his second book. And when we put this together, because he's launching his second book, I went back and finally read his first book. And I will say this, rough start, great story so far. So, but I love the fact that you're keeping going, you're continuing the story with the boys, man. And like, how have you been since the last time we talked, man?
First of all, how dare you criticize my book? No, not. It's fine.
I literally just gave him harsher criticism behind the scenes, and he's totally fine with criticism behind the scenes, but in front of people, how dare I?
I know, right? It's
right?
It's a real sin. I'll tell you that. Yeah, but it's been going good, all things considered. Life's changed up a little bit, but I've still been trucking with writing, and it's taken a little longer than I've anticipated, but book 2 is finally here, and I gotta say, I feel like I've learned a lot of the lessons that I pretty much was given from the first book, and I feel like this one is a real improvement. I'm very proud of it, in fact. Maybe that's just a matter of pride, but I'm very confident, and I'm very excited to share it with you guys.
That's well, and I will say this: hopefully, you learned the right lessons.
Hopefully.
But it's one of those like you're not gonna know until you start getting reviews and things like that. And one of the things. Okay, so one of the things I was thinking of before the interview. Well, two of the things, but one of the things I was thinking of before the interview is, and I don't think I've ever asked you this, but pseudonyms are in the modern day very different than they used to be.
I see where this is going.
Right. Why the fuck the Lord Otter? Let's just cut to the chase. Like, why the Lord Otter? Where did that come from? Like,
who would have thought an otter could write a book?
Yes.
First and foremost. But I'll tell you this. The actual cause for the pseudonym, if I'm being completely honest, it all comes down to a trip I had at the zoo as a child. I got myself an otter toy at the time. I was like 8 years old at the time. Don't judge.
I'm good, dude. No, we all got that stuff at the zoo. That was like the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
It's still on my shelf, believe it or not, even though it's old and everything. But
I have a frog, a stuffed frog that my one of my family members got for me. It's still on the shelf. Still on the shelf in the house. The kids know him. His name is Froggy because, original name, whatever. But yeah, I agree. I get you.
Yeah, but since then, like I started just kind of like using it in like online names and everything, just because I had no better idea of what to put, honestly. And let's put it this way: like my friends and family kept nagging me on about it over the years, particularly my family, just because they're a little closer in this regard. I would
Right.
probably not tell regular friends about this. But yeah, they're like, why don't you do something with this otter? And for the record, I literally called him Otter, believe it or not. Um, and
Solid name, good for an otter.
yeah, I know, right? So whenever it finally came time for me to join Twitter, this was right after Razorfist's call for the Iron Age. I was like, okay, what am I actually going to name myself? I came up with like an alternate name there at first. I think it was called like Pulposaurus Rex or something stupid like
Okay,
that.
that's a bad pseudonym.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Who is gonna remember that?
Yeah, so I end up asking just a few different people. I'm like, I've got a couple of ideas in mind. Like, I just brainstormed them, and I'm like, you know what? This otter's been sitting on my shelf for like 10 plus years now. It's been there through thick and thin, always kind of like smiling at me regardless of my day. And I'm like, you know what? It's time to show him some respect. So
Okay.
it was around this time where I go, my overall writing style, I'm very poncy, very much like a lord, in fact, who's very condescending. Let's put two and two together.
It's like you took this wonderful childhood memory and then you corrupted it with the adultness.
Exactly.
It's just this like, oh my god, I love this thing from my childhood. How much of a dick am I as an adult? Like, that's so.
Little did my family know the monster they were about to create.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. I've been wanting to ask you that for a long time. I freaking love it. And obviously, and pseudonyms are still very important in modern writing, especially if you're just like, I kind of want to just, I want my private life, and you know, because everything's online now.
Yeah.
And so, dude, I freaking love it, man. That's awesome. And they the other thing that I wanted to ask is like, okay, so you put your first book out there,
Yep.
and you know you get some reviews and all that, and one of the things, probably the cardinal sin of things I should never ask an author, what did sales and book movement look like for you? Because I don't think you're going to a lot of like book conventions and stuff like that, are you?
So I haven't been going to any book conventions. I plan on changing that very soon.
Okay.
The rule I've been setting for myself is until I have at least two books out, I'm not bothering with conventions. I want to have a little bit of variety in what I sell. But after this, I'm like, okay, I think it's time. I need to actually start making some reservations. Uh, but
Awesome.
but yeah, like sales for the book went pretty well. I think I ended up getting about 50, 60 copies in the first few months overall.
That's awesome. I I bought two. Like I think I bought one and my wife forgot that I bought one, so I actually have the soft cover and the hard cover of your book.
Oh.
Like I did it just accidentally. I'm glad I did though. I'm actually thinking about one of these days I'll probably do like a giveaway for like the hardcover. Which
Yeah,
is sweet.
and like this is another thing I'll say, and it seems like the overall reception to my first book, which I will say this out of pride because it is my first book, but I'm super happy that so many people like it. Because I was worried it was going to be a piece of dog shit, honestly,
Mhm.
if I'm not lying. Um,
I mean, it's your
but yeah,
first book. What else do you expect?
yeah. So, but yeah, overall, it seems like, and I really like that this is the reception is there's strong opinions about different problems, but it's like the good parts, it's equally strong opinions, which is actually what I want. I'd rather that be the case than just absolute boredom and no opinions throughout.
Right. Yeah, dude, and like I said, I will say this. I haven't finished it yet. Like I said, I've got a few chapters left. I told you where I was.
Yeah.
To avoid spoilers and stuff like that, I told you where I was in the book. Where we're getting into like the climactic fight, right? We're like in the middle of it, kind of. And I will say this: it's like that I feel like you became a different writer from chapters 1, 2, and 3. It's like, okay, it's his first book. Give him a
Yeah.
little credit. Chapter 4 on, and I'm like, what the fuck happened? Like, totally, like, or halfway through chapter 3, something, but it was just one of those things where it's like, okay, from here on, he got comfortable. From here on, he was still trying to, and it's like, I will say this: I've read a lot of people's first books at this point, checked out a lot of, and some people, it's just like, okay, they kind of slowly get there towards the end. It's like, oh, okay, I see where you're at, you know. And some
Yeah.
people they get a good grasp. Maybe this is like their 6th or 7th attempt on the book, and you're like, okay, they've definitely, like, you can see the difference. I've never seen or read somebody where it's just like, all right, fucking halfway through chapter 3, we're just a different writer at this point. Like, that was wild to me. And I have to ask the question, is there like more editing involved, or was it just a comfort thing? Like how did that?
So how I think it worked was it's like you said, for I'd say the first chapter especially is probably the roughest. Second chapter, all things considered, I'm still relatively proud of it, though I'll admit it has its problems. But it's like, and this is where I would say the absolute kind of like root cause of that is this was originally kind of a very different story. I will be
I remember
frank.
talking with you about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was going to be a full-on epic fantasy. It was basically going to be a Wheel of Time knockoff, and it changed, and I'm glad it did because I have a lot of problems with Wheel of Time, and I had just as many problems with the first few drafts of my book.
Right.
But I think it was around the time that I started. So I was like reading Sword and Sorcery like right from the beginning of me writing this. And one of my biggest inspirations for this was always Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser, minus the last book or two. And I always loved like the dual dynamic in those stories. Like I love the poeticism behind it. I love how whimsical it gets, but then it gets like really kind of like locked down when it wants to. Like it
Mhm.
knows when to joke around, and then it also knows it's like, okay, this is a really serious plot point. Pay attention.
Yeah. I
And oh, go ahead.
No, I will say that you did a good job. You again in the latter, like, I don't know, like 80% of the book, you did a really good job with that, balancing conversational pieces and so on and so forth, and serious moments.
Uh, it was, but I would still say I didn't fully know what I was doing until I was like about a year and a half in, because originally I had a different name for the book. It was a much more generic name. It was going to be called The Storm God's Herald, believe it or not. And you may see some.
I am so glad you did do
Oh
that.
yeah, it's such a generic book
That's
name.
so bad.
It's such a generic book name.
Oh,
And on top of that, and you'll probably see the after effects of this, but Stormbright was originally the main character, and Serethus was like Steel was more of a side character.
there's a lot of that in the book.
Yeah.
There's some moments where you're just like, okay, what? And okay, that makes a lot of sense.
It makes
now.
sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
I will say this though, for those who are Steel fans, the for one, second book I would argue is way more balanced in the two. If anything, it leans a little more towards Steel side. It is very much like I don't know. I would say it captures his mindset more, just a
Yeah.
little bit, and kind of like where they are, because they're actually in more of like a gothic city that's more kind of like strange cults sacrificing in the night. It's cloak and dagger.
Yep.
Like for Stormbright, he's out of his element, but for Steel, he's a lot more adept at what's going on.
No, and that was well, and again, when you start kind of fleshing out the characters and to see I won't give this away, but in the mines, to see the two characters kind of have to shore up their resolve and realize now we got to get things done. To see the evolution of the characters from what they were to what they are, you really kind of cover that in a couple of chapters. Not to say they don't have further character growth throughout the rest of the book, but there is like a moment in the book, and it's less of a moment and it's more like a couple of years, the way that you describe it, where they're different people. We start the book with these people. We hit a few chapters where it's like, this changes them. Now we're working with different people. Not like totally different. Not like all of a sudden they're totally different. But what I'm saying is like, there's that moment where all of us are just like, oh, I will not be the same after this thing happened to me. I am going to deal with things differently now. And that was the moment that captured me in the book. That's when I was like, and I really think that was the point where you got me. You were like, here's the characters, here's how they changed, here's, and I was like, man, that like we're off to the races at this point.
Yeah, I'll tell you one major source of that, and it is also a major inspiration on this book. I'm a big seinen manga fan, and it was during this time I was also really into Vinland Saga, which I have a lot of problems with that series too.
I have tried watching the anime, and I'm just like, I don't. I don't.
One thing that stuck with me from that series, and it's one thing I actually think it mishandles, arguably, is the idea of innocence lost. Someone coming from an innocent past and having to be like being thrown into a fish out of water situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they have to grow up. But not only this, it's like they're given an extra layer of awareness that they could not have known earlier. And that forever changes them. So that's kind of how I see it in a lot of ways. And it's the idea that not only are these brothers being changed over time, it's like it is active strife too. It's like there's a reason why the Ograthians, the villains, they chant pain and pleasure because they believe that both are vital to growth. In a sense, that is actually true for Steel and Stormbright. Pain is what teaches them to become who they are. It could have easily destroyed them, but they persevered.
Well, and I think that's a very good contrast that you made with the first book, is, the pain and pleasure thing. It's more like hedonism.
Yeah.
And it's like seeking this stuff out so that it will persist and you can kind of get your jollies off to it, versus Steel and Stormbright are like, okay, no, like,
right.
We
exactly.
like, we don't want like it to always be pain and pleasure. We want simplicity in life. We go through the pain so that way we don't even necessarily get pleasure in the next step, but we get peace. And it's a good contrast there. And it's one of those things that you understand, like when a country is just, the whole country is just like, no, hedonism. Like that's how which is, I mean, you kind of go back in time and you can see
right. It's not that far from reality in some ways, but it's something where I wanted to have an antagonistic force where it's like they are unambiguously evil, but at the same time, I wanted to feel distinctly human. The evil in many ways is human. That's really what I wanted.
It's giving into a lot of the carnal desires, the lust for power and stuff like that. Like, you do a good job in describing that. Real quick, Mario Trujillo for $5 says nothing hits quite as hard as life giving you a blind right of a first-hand experience. Keep it up, Otter. Hail the Iron Age. And hi, Royce, I guess. Oh, well, fuck you too.
God bless, good sir.
God.
Oh no, Kahuna, why? Why are you sharing this?
I don't.
Oh, I know
I
what
don't
he's
know why my
talking
chat
about.
is the way that it is, but I don't.
It's a book.
They're like, give your audience what they want. I'm like, no, that's not allowed on YouTube.
I
I
don't
don't.
that. Like, keep it far away. Like that's
Keep it
something the Ograthians would be reading, not me.
right.
Oh Lord, why Kahuna?
Oh, dude,
Killing me,
that's
Smalls.
killing me, Smalls. Ah, I love it. No, like I said, and so, and I remember, first time have we interviewed you once or twice?
It was just once, I think, and that was right around the time I released my first
Right.
book. Lot less experience then, both as a writer and also as a cultured individual, I guess you could say.
Oh, you're
But
cultured now. Get the fuck out of here.
well, I still live under a rock, I'll have you know. It's just now that I'm watching through Deadwood as a series, and that's part of research for a Western project I'm doing.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's a fun one. I really enjoy Deadwood.
That's cool. So what's it been? Was it been like you learn from your first book? You've gotten a lot of criticism. So, what's a criticism that you love and you're like, awesome, I can take this criticism and apply that knowledge to my second book? Part two of that question is, what's a criticism that you got and you're like, fuck you, not doing that, you're dumb? And you can answer in whatever order you want.
All right, I'll probably go with the first one, which is this is the criticism I first heard from Kahuna, but it's the most consistent criticism of the entire book. Steele is referred to as a thief, but he never really steals in this book.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big one. And it's the most consistent criticism I've gotten with this book. And I'm like, you know what? You are absolutely right.
Hold on.
I mean, technically,
But he uses the techniques of a thief, and technically he kind of does steal something in the mines area, quite convincingly.
Yeah, that is true.
And he does learn the techniques of a thief, but he hasn't been put into the situation. I guess you didn't give him the situation later on in the book, but no, he does steal something. And it was less of a like, oh, I'm going to be sneaky. It was more like, motherfucker, give me this shit or I'm going to kill you.
I think the original criticism was that at times he's more of a warrior than he is a thief. And I'm like, no, I actually do agree with that as a criticism. It's like he's a good fencer, but it's like at the same time, I felt like I didn't give him enough kind of like thieving situations. That is something I very much meant to, that I'm very much kind of like amended with the second book.
Okay, no, I would like to see the difference in that.
That, and I would also say, and this is something that I've heard a few different reviewers point out, it's probably the second most consistent criticism is that there's some, I think John A. Douglas put it best. He called it tonal whiplash in a couple places. And I'm like, yeah, because it's like, in some places it almost feels like a YA book, but in others it's like, it's full on lewd in places.
Yeah. And that was actually so in the rant that I did a while back that I put on, which apparently like a lot of people in this community watched and were like, wow, Royce. And it was like, indie authors are letting down the kids. And I was like, look, I read Lord Otter's book. I think it's really good. I really do. I was like, but there are certain chapters in the book where the language that being used is just too adult. I cannot give that to my kids.
It is not intended for kids.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I will say. It's like,
yeah,
marketing wise, I'm like, I do not intend this book for children just by the very nature of the antagonists alone. I do not recommend it for children.
And that's really what it was. And it was one of those things where it's like, if you had the inkling to be like, to ever reach out and be like, hey, Royce, like, how would I keep these characters this way? And it's like, well, just descriptions, honestly. They can still be that way, but in a and like you kind of write it in like the kind of like the double entendre way where it's just like, oh, the kids are going to read this and go, oh wow, they're just bad people. The adults are going to read it and go, oh wow, these are disgusting people. Because again, there's that that difference between, and I'm not saying you have to do that. I wish a lot more people would, because I'd love, I love the indie community and what they're doing, and I'd love to pass down a lot more books to the kids. But if there are some people that are just like, nah, bro, that's not my story. It's like, that is what it is.
No, I agree with you. And I hate to sound like I'm blaming this on someone else. I really don't mean it that way. That scene that you're talking about, it originally wasn't nearly as lewd. It was like vague descriptions. I had a couple beta readers tell me, hey, Otter, lewd it up. Like, really show how depraved she is. I'm like, all right, I guess I will. It turned out to be a double-edged sword in a couple ways.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess everything is when you're a writer, it's like you can't please everybody, and that's totally fine. Ultimate Kahuna for $1.99. Check the tap room. I don't know if I want to do that live.
I'll check it. Let's see.
Oh
no, Kahuna.
Oh no,
Kahuna. That's a self-report, Kahuna.
That looks like the cover to some of them books them women be reading nowadays.
Yeah, unfortunately. Kahuna, why do you do this to us?
I'm not gonna show. Oh my god, it's a video.
Oh no.
And nope. Kahuna, he might get banned. Anyway, not showing that on YouTube.
Nope.
I honestly think I could. I think that's clean enough. I could show it on YouTube. Am I going to? No. No, because I have standards, okay? I have standards.
I'll post it for you.
Oh, no. I'm not clicking it, Huna.
Oh God, why?
I just completely lost my train of thought. That's so horrible. The internet has given us the ability to do things that we never did. Anyway, the hedge went and saw the tap room, and he's like, I feel dirty now. You should. Everybody, don't do it. Don't avoid the tap room until. Well, I guess go chat in the tap room so you can push that message up. Gee, why do we let these people here? Why did I do this?
It might be me.
It could be you. It could. I mean, yeah. That's true.
I'm a bad influence.
It's true. Maybe. Sticky Who? Oh God.
Oh no.
Okay, so I need to get back the fuck on this because I'm the interviewer and I cannot let the chat control this now. So you're. So Steel and Stormbright, I remember covering you this. What's the tap room? The tap room is the open discussion that I have in my Discord, Andrew Campbell. So if you are not in the Discord, I guess I could drop the link. No, I would not have Ultimate Kahuna. That's a lie.
Kahuna,
I
how
don't
dare
even.
you?
No. What? That's no.
You better stop, Kahuna, or I'll throw stones at you.
I might ban him. He might get banned. Might be like,
that's right, Kahuna, you're banned.
And the hedge might also get banned too for that comment. Why am I letting my chat take over this interview? How the fuck? Where's the share button? Invite people. We're gonna copy the link. If you are not a part of the nope, that's not the button to press. All right. If you are not a part of the Discord, go check out my Discord. It's right there. Let's keep moving. Oh, God. So Steel and Stormbright is a story of two brothers that are going through the world together, and you really see the brotherly connection there. I do enjoy that because that was an angle that you thought was very important because you don't have a lot of like brothers taking on the world together. And you do get to see, although I think that I appreciate the character growth of Stormbright more, simply because it seems like he has a lot more character growth. I actually think that my favorite of the brothers is Steel, because I think that Steel represents more of the stoicism in male characters that we need to see in fantasy. And Stormbright's kind of on that the nerd journey, right? The learning more and kind of, you know what I mean? You had the sports ball brother and the nerd brother, but now they're both put in this situation where it's like, well, I guess we just have to do what we've got to do, so to speak. And I do love that the two brothers, when speaking to each other, like, you know who is speaking by how they speak, the words that you choose for them to speak, and all of that. And because I told you my criticisms of the book before the show, but I didn't tell you the things that I really liked about the book. And that's one of the things that I really, really liked. You actually figured out different voices for the characters in the books.
That one was really tough to figure out, by the way, as a new writer. It was really tough.
Yeah. I'm glad that you did figure. There were a couple, and it wasn't perfect. There were a couple of moments I was like, okay, hold on, I got to back up and oh, it's this. Okay, cool. There were a couple of moments but that was more of a situational thing, and it's like, okay, well, fuck, everybody would respond like that in this situation.
Right.
You know, and
so it was really tough, kind of like just differentiating their voices, because it's like, in one way, I want them to be very distinct from each other, but at the same time, they're brothers. Balance, I guess. That was the tough part about that.
Right. Well, it's like, it's funny. Me and my brothers get together, and all of us have our own mannerisms, but we also have a lot of mannerisms of our father.
Yeah.
How would you convey that in a book form, right?
Right.
Like, how do you do that? It's like they were both still raised by the same father. They both might still have some of those traits of that one individual, as all of us would as siblings. And I think that you did a very good. Again, there were a few times when I was just like,
yeah, understandable. I had a couple moments like that whenever I was listening to the audiobook version. I went, hang on, who's speaking? Like, I know I wrote this, but wait a second. Oh, it's this character. That's right.
Right. Maybe just qualifiers like, and that's where, I think you kind of realize that closer towards the end of the book is like, and the thief said, or and the wizard said, or however you refer to.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ban Ultimate Kahuna from chatting right now. She really took the bull by the horns. Right.
Oh, God.
But Kahuna, no.
Is he drunk?
Go to my Discord and go to the taproom discussion and look at what Ultimate Kahuna posted, my love. My wife is sitting here. She has no idea what I'm.
You will regret what you say.
You'll regret it. It is literally.
If it's not furry porn, I won't regret it. It's cool.
It's close to that. My wife was like, as long as it's not furry porn, it's fine. I won't regret it. And I was like, it's close.
It's close. Shuon Head had a great video talking about it.
Shuon Head did a really good job with that book that came out. I can't believe that's a best-selling women's novel.
I'm not surprised. It's book talk we're talking about.
Yeah. Sorry, my wife actually used to know her. Like back in the day, they used to like early YouTube before Shu was even big at all. They were all kind of getting started on. I think she's the only one that, huh?
She was big.
Was she big at the time?
When her and I did podcasts, it was right before she started dating Armored Skeptic, or when she started dating Armored Skeptic.
Oh, that's right. That did happen.
Yeah, I knew all of them.
Well, I know you knew that. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, my wife knew a lot of people back then. They were all in like this group. I forgot you did podcasts with her.
I did the Atheist podcast for a year, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, but sorry, my wife knows people.
I feel that.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
But
was this pre-Armored Skeptic? Wow, the Phoenix Press knows. This is like right before.
Tell them what I said.
Yeah,
Right after they started dating.
This is like right before or right after they started dating. Actually, when my wife knew.
Because I knew Armored too.
Yeah, actually, my wife did some voice acting work for an Armored Skeptic video. No, that wasn't Armored Skeptic. Who was that? Who did you do the redneck girl voice for? Remember?
Yeah, I know.
That wasn't Armored Skeptic. That was
I was just thinking about him the other day too.
who was it?
It wasn't Dark Matter. It was Psy the Atheist.
Psy the Atheist. That's right.
I played
Oh.
Sarkeesian.
Oh yeah, my wife did a parody of Anita Sarkeesian.
Yeah,
Oh.
and all the chat asked if he actually got her to do the voice because I sounded like her.
That's funny.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, my wife knew a lot of people. Yeah, I started watching her on that. Yeah, so my wife hung out with all those people. Anyway, yeah, I should just do an AMA like with my wife one night and just people just ask questions because my wife is so much more well known in the world than I am. It's funny.
Hmm.
I don't know where the fuck we are. We're 30 minutes, 37.
I'm trying
minutes
to
in.
remember what I was talking about. It was something to do with Steel.
Oh, you were listening to the audiobook, and even you were like, "Oh yeah, their voices." Like even you
Oh,
had to
yeah,
back up
yeah,
and go,
yeah.
"Yeah, who was talking?" Yeah.
we were talking about character voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was the dynamic between Steel and Stormbright. That was something I worked the most on, especially with this book. I work on it quite a bit in the second one as well, but one of the advantages of it being a sequel is you already know what you're doing. You have a good idea of the tone you want to do and everything. First book, a lot of it's more up in the air, and especially once you get about 60% of the way through it, you go, hang on, this ain't right. Well,
Right. It's like spaghetti at the wall, and then you get 60% of the way through, and you're like, "Okay, nothing is sticking to the wall. What did I do wrong with this spaghetti?"
yeah. But yeah, like for me, a very big component was the relationship between both brothers because I see them as two, almost like yin and yang, where it's like one is very kind of like passive, a little timid, but he's also very empathetic. He picks up things that his brother normally wouldn't, whereas Steel is a bit more kind of like a bit of a type A personality. He's
Mhm.
very protective. He's very quick to judge, has a bit of a short temper, but it's like them working together that they kind of like fill in their weaknesses in
That's-
most cases.
And that's actually what I really like. And that's why I say like Steel, type A personality, wants to protect, quick to judge, quick to get angry. I know a guy a lot like that. The quick to get angry thing took me a lot of years. And that would be that's actually a good character trait to have. It's like he's quick to get angry, but as he grows, like that could be, because the rest of that's awesome.
Yeah.
But they've all got to have their character traits that they work on, and just quick to be a leader too. I will say that Steel, quick to be a leader, quick to take charge. And I really, really like that. Like, especially in the battle towards the end of the book, like he's up in the front lines. He's on the walls. He's there. He's not, it's like, nah, like if everybody else is going for it, I'm going for it. And he's going to be there and tell people to, nut up or shut up for lack of, a better term. And people are going to look at him and go, well, fuck, if he's doing it, we can do it too. And I really like that about him. Not to say that exact thing happens, but that personality is there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I will say this, and it is something that's definitely kind of like influenced the book, like especially the first book and the second book quite a bit as well. But it was kind of like a whole process throughout like writing Curse of the Star Raids in particular, where it was like I was slowly figuring out the tone because it started out very, very kind of like epic fantasy D&D derivative a little bit as I was
Yes.
going on.
Yes.
And then at one point, it's like the tone hits me. And it was when I discovered a little band you may have heard of, a Swedish metal band called Eclipse. And as soon as I start hearing their discography, I fall in love with it. And then I go, holy crap, this is exactly what they're going through. This is exactly what I'm going for. It's just I didn't fully realize it yet. And it characterizes them so well. And I think it particularly characterizes Steel more than anyone. Stormbright to a large degree too,
Oh, yeah.
but like I guess you could say sort of like the temper, like Steel is quick to anger, and that is a character fault, but it's like I at the same time as an author, I think he's fully justified to have that character fault because there are evil factions in the world that that incite just that. So and
The
it is. Oh, go ahead.
no. I was sorry. Ultimate Kuna. I didn't want to do this. Damn it.
Kahuna,
Yes,
why?
Bryce, I don't want to read this out on stream. This is just if you're not in the Discord, go to the Discord. Kahuna is a degenerate. We just came to my house and then he became shirtless.
That sounds like a Kahuna thing to do.
Here's the bad part. Is all of us sitting here see a shirtless man and we're like, yeah, that makes sense.
We're like, it's Kahuna.
Yeah, it's like why we were wondering why you showed up with a shirt in the first place. But like,
Don't feel bad. He did the exact same thing when he was interviewing me this last time. He's like, well, Otter, it's great to have you on stream. Hold on a second while I just take off my shirt. Oh, yeah, like that. It's like, Kahuna, you do it to yourself.
It's so good. I've got to stop reading the fucking. This is why I like to save this shit until the end. But I also like you're in the community, you know how they be. So, you know, like people who are less in the community, it's like, okay, let's save this crap to the end. But you know,
I will say this: Evelyn's just quoting lyrics from Eclipse. Good man. They're a great band.
I've never heard of them. You'll have to drop a link in the Discord.
Yeah, I'll have to send you a couple links. Their songs are really strong. There's only a couple I'm not a huge fan of. They've got a really strong discography for such a small band.
That's cool.
Yeah, but like and that's kind of where I realized it's like, and you see this a lot in like classical inspirations for like original D&D is that well, you especially see it with like Robert E. Howard with like Conan and Solomon Kane. It's not just fantasy adventure, it's not just historical adventure. There's some punch to it. There's an edge there. And it's like there's varying degrees that it goes to, but at the same time it's like some of my favorite Conan and Solomon Kane stories, it's like they go through some shit before getting to the end. And like I'll use an example of like one of my favorite Solomon Kane stories, which is Wings in the Night, which is like minor spoilers, I guess, if that's a big deal for the chat. I probably shouldn't go any farther if it's a huge spoiler or anything like that. But let's just put it like this: Solomon Kane swears to protect a certain person or certain people.
Ooh, I see where this is going.
And he fails miserably at it. And it goes from a story of protection and altruism to that of straight up vengeance by the end. And it's not that idea that makes it compelling. It's the execution where you have Robert E. Howard's prose of him going to extreme lengths to trap these monstrosities basically inside a hut. And then once they realize they're in a trap, he burns the entire thing down. And it's his descriptions of kind of like Solomon Kane's mental state in that moment, coupled with what's happening around him, that I go, okay, this is legendary. Like 90 odd years later, it still holds up as like one of my all-time like favorite short stories. Absolute legend.
You know, that I will say this. One of the things, and I was speaking with Daniel Riley, I don't know, a month or two back, and we were just shooting the shit. I was just talking with him on the phone.
Yeah.
And one of the things I told him, I was like, you know, here's one of the things that makes it very, very tough for me to get into a lot of modern authors. And what it comes down to is a lot of the vernacular is that the vernacular is very much of the modern day
Oh yeah.
vernacular. And it sounds too much like it's just this like like me speaking. And I was like, now all obviously everybody here knows that, and I've said this many times. Like when I was a young kid, the curriculum for our reading like put me. I was at a 12th grade reading level by the time I was in like the 4th or 5th grade. I just that was a 12th grade public school reading level. That was not a 12th grade my school reading level. Very different
Yep.
thing. But that's just the school that I went to. A very broke private school. I'm surprised they even could pay the fucking lights. Like it was bad.
Oh,
I talked with some of the
that's
teachers.
awful.
I talked with some of the teachers afterwards, and it was a Catholic priest who didn't like the public school system, but knew private schools were too expensive, and so he paid. He just, I don't know if he took any money. I don't like. I sometimes I even heard that the teachers didn't even get paid a lot. A lot of them were like the moms of the students and stuff, and so their kids got like tuition for free. But like it was this building that, I mean, it needed work. It was rough,
Yeah.
but they wanted to give a good education to the kids because that's what mattered. So, and that's that backstory there. So I didn't like reading when I was a kid because reading was a chore for me. I wanted to go outside, swing a stick at fake whatever the fuck I was thinking of that day in the air and pretend to go fight great battles. And like, that's me as a kid. And dad would be like, no, mom and dad were like, no, you've got to read. You've got to do this stuff for your homework, this, that, and the other thing. And then dad would turn the sitcoms on TV right behind me. And it's like, what the fuck? So I did not like reading. But
Don't get
what
me
I was-
wrong. I am right there with you. I was the exact same kid,
Dude.
believe it or not.
Oh, no. So what I tell people is, although I'm not, although I don't have a lot of reading under my belt, what I was made to read when I was a kid, and then having to write 500 word handwritten essays when you're in the 4th and 5th grade. And by the way, it
Yeah.
was cursive handwriting, and we were graded on penmanship, spelling, punctuation, and everything. You could turn an A-rate fucking paper today into an F real fucking quick, just if your handwriting sucked. It was rough. But all of that made me analytical on books in a very different way than a lot of people are. Because I was raised to really have to dive in depth, really have to get into stuff like as a kid, and the stuff that I read. And then as I got older, the complexity of the stories that we were told to read when I was young was far and above what even a lot of high schoolers were doing at the time. And this is back in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they're definitely not doing that. So one of the things that I tell people is like, no, I'm not like, I am well read, but I don't read very often. And when I do read something, one of the things that really bothers me today is the elocution.
Yeah.
The language that's being used and how well it's being used. And I heard it on a Overly Sarcastic Productions. I love them. I think their channel is fantastic. They're just fun. But one of the things that Red said, she goes, she was, I can't remember what video it was, but it was on like old pulpy stuff that they were reading. And she's like, why use one word when 15 will suffice? And I know some people hate that, but when I was learning how to write and I was learning grammar and learning how to structure sentences, even we were taught that too much repetition gets noticed by people. And so you start to learn how to use different nouns and pronouns and verbs and adverbs and adjectives and things like that to describe things. So that way it's not just like he said, she said. It's like, you know, the angry boy said, you know, the frightened girl said, you know,
Right.
like you start understanding how to use the English language in and of its whole. And sometimes in modern writing, and oftentimes in modern writing, that's not there. It's like people have stripped all the whimsical nature out of writing. And I will say this, You might have referred to him as a thief. People might have said he's not a thief. He doesn't do thieving things. But damn it, if I was like, thank you for not just being like the older brother said this.
My God.
The younger brother said this. Thank you for actually giving descriptors. Now you go back to them, but you also use other descriptors back and forth. And that
I
made
try to keep
me
variety.
happy. Well, you have to. And I fucking really like that you figured that the fuck out in your first book, because some people don't.
I try to keep some variety there. Some of it was a bit of a struggle at times, but I will say this though. Yeah, it was I would have to say, damn it, now I'm losing my own train of thought. Why do I do this?
Andrew Campbell, I'm not saying that there's not a great modern writing out there. I'm saying is I haven't read it because I don't go to mainstream guys. I go to indie guys.
Oh,
People
yeah.
who are writing their first books, people who are doing this. Like, this is the advice I'm giving to. I don't read mainstream, crazy, huge, multimillionaire authors. I read indies that are doing their first few books and getting started in the world. So this is where my criticism comes from. Sorry.
I will say there are exceptions with modern writing, as with everything.
Well,
but
of course there is.
I will say this though, because overall I definitely agree with you, which is I read some modern fiction. Some of it's very, very good, but I read a lot of older fiction, and that's primarily what I prefer to read.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the idea that, like, I was lucky enough at about the age of 9 or 10 to come across an illustrated version of H.G. Wells's The Time Machine. And that's what got me into reading. It wasn't anything that school put in my hands, because every time school put a book in my hands, I'm like, I'd rather play video games.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big problem with reading today. I think it's the big reason why so many people don't read, is the idea that modern media, the internet, video games, it's immediately appealing. And the main way you actually get into, by the age you're getting into reading, you are in school before that point. So by the time you're susceptible to reading, you've already been given a textbook or just a very lousy book by a teacher, and suddenly it's the last thing you want to do because it's no longer enjoyment, it is homework.
Mm-hmm.
And
which I think the number one thing that kills learning for children is homework.
Yeah.
And I figured out my argument against homework is when I clock out at work, I don't go home and do more work for work. I'm not getting paid for it. I don't do it. We should not be teaching children that it's okay to take their work home with them, which is a massive fucking problem in American society.
Yeah. But I will say this. The Time Machine, and this is why I'll defend books with graphics in them, is that Great Illustrated Classics, that was like a series. It was like a publication that I got into at the time. And it was like a whole bunch of reprintings of classic pulp stories. And it's all of them have illustrations every here and there. Mm-hmm. And for a 10-year-old, that's exactly what I needed to get into reading, because I saw a great cover for it. Just a man strapped into a time machine. I'm like, hey, I think time machines are cool. I'll pick this up. It turns out I even reread it about a year or two ago. And it's still a great book. I absolutely recommend it.
You know,
yeah.
I think I don't remember if it was I don't remember if my version of it was illustrated when I was a kid. Call the Wild for me.
Oh, good
choice. You know what it was? I had huskies as a kid. We had 3.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, and I was reading a book about this husky that was going through, and just to see this prim and proper and prissy dog go from a rich house to basically the school of hard knocks as a fucking dog. And then dude, Call of the Wild is the only book in my life I have ever read more than once. And I've read it 3 times, and I read it 3 times in the same weekend.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
I am a slow reader because, again, I'm good at reading. I can pick out things, but you don't train yourself to read, so that speed isn't there. I think I started it on like a Thursday, finished it on a Saturday morning, started it again on Saturday, finished it on like Sunday morning after church, finished it Sunday night again.
Yeah.
Because I was so into Call of the Wild. I think Jack London did an amazing job.
Hey, books like that are special.
Dude.
And they're absolutely worth cherishing. There,
Oh, yeah.
I had a book that I read in the last year that did me that way. And you may even laugh. The first Anne of Green Gables book.
Oh, fuck you. No. No, and we're gonna end this conversation.
It's a fantastic book. I'll
It is
tell you that
not.
much.
I have read that book.
I loved it.
No.
I
What is
unironically loved
wrong
it.
with you? No. What the two books that I tell people I will never read again ever is Anne of Green Gables and fucking what's the book that Castaway? I always say Castaway. God.
Swiss Family Robinson?
No, not Swiss Family Robinson. Dude who got trapped on an island. I can't remember his name. I hate it so much. God, I can't believe you just said that Anne of Green Gables.
I didn't realize I struck a chord. Oh my god.
Oh, we could not disagree more.
Maji sang Lord of the Flies.
Robinson Crusoe. Thank you, Evely Music.
Robinson Crusoe.
Robinson Crusoe. And we didn't get the cut down kids version. We got the holy motherfuck version of Robinson Crusoe. It is horrible. Anne of Green, and we read Anne of Green Gables and Robinson Crusoe back to back in school. And then I hated I don't.
I'm going to talk to Kahuna here for a second. He says the Scarlet Letter was the actual worst. I don't hate the Scarlet Letter, but it's one of Nathaniel Hawthorne's worst stories. I will say that much.
I'm starting to realize you have no standards.
That's right. And that's one of my biggest weapons.
You
got to interview the otter, Royce. You're dealing with some chaos. That's how I roll.
I never thought. I know young girls. Anne of Green Gables is pointed to young women, and I know young women who are like, I fucking hated that book when I was a kid, or when they were young women. Now they're adults, and they're like, yeah, no, screw that book. And now here I have an adult male otter in front of me. It's just like, no, it's a good book. It's great.
It's like I am kind and sympathetic towards the Scarlet Letter and Anne of Green Gables, but I'm actually pretty harsh on The Great Gatsby. I do think that book is very much a product of its time.
Gotten mixed reviews about The Great Gatsby. I've heard from some people they really like it, and some people are just like, nah.
I don't think it. So it's not a bad book. I'm kind of with Evely on this one. He says it's mid Gatsby, which is it's not a bad book, but it like pretty much every time you have like a history lecture or something like that, and you're told, oh, time to talk about the 1920s America. The first thing that's brought up is The Great Gatsby and F. Scott Fitzgerald. All of his writing is essentially dated to the 1920s America. It is quite literally a product of its time. Whereas if I read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, I can pick that book up today, and I still love that book. Yeah. It is a masterpiece. That was written in the 1850s.
Yeah. Evely Music. This is a very poignant point. I heard this from, God, I can't remember what podcast I was listening to at the time. All Shakespeare. What the fuck, Bill? I can't understand you, dog. So I want everybody to know Shakespeare didn't write books. He wrote plays. If you want to understand Shakespeare, go to the play.
He is a playwright.
I heard somebody say, they're like, if you want children to fall in love with Shakespeare, take them to a Shakespearean play. If you want them to hate Shakespeare, make them read it.
That is very true.
'Cause he was literally people. It's like if somebody hands you a screenplay and says, "Isn't this wonderful?" versus watching the fucking movie.
It also, I will say this, there is a little bit of merit to reading Shakespeare, not for how good it is, though it is good. Bear with me. There is a difference between reading good dialogue and hear it being acted out on a play. And that was what I realized whenever you're given like Caesar, Julius Caesar. It's a great example. We read through the play and I'm like, man, this dialogue is so dry. Then we watch like an actual like acted out play or like movie special for it. You have really good actors. I'm like, oh my God, this dialogue is amazing. And it's just through how it's conveyed.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's almost like Shakespeare was a playwright, not a fucking novelist.
Yeah. And like you hear this time and again, a script is made to be acted out, not read.
I would imagine that Shakespeare, knowing that children today are made to read his books or his plays in school and then try to have these analytical discussions, I would imagine Shakespeare would go, "The fuck are you doing?" I did what? I would imagine that he would. Ugh. Yeah, it's I no there, and I think that's where people get reading incorrect oftentimes, is that there are books that are written, or things, I will say things because I'm including, plays and songs, and as somebody who I have written songs, I've written probably close to 30 songs. I can only ever put 20 out. But reading a song is very different than listening to a song. Reading a song oftentimes could be equivalent to like reading a poem.
Yeah.
Right. And for instance, some people who do stupid bullshit ass degrees in college, they take a poem and they turn it into an interpretive dance. Very different idea there, right? And I think that's where art and art form, and then also the proper execution of that art form. I'm sorry, I don't think Shakespeare needs to be read in school. I think if you want kids to get into Shakespeare, take them to a play. Show them the plays.
I will also say this, Shakespeare's writing has a lot of sexual innuendo. A lot.
I am aware. So, you know why, and I tell people this all the time, I freaking love Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh, I do too.
I think I actually have his complete. No, I don't have them in here. They're on the bookshelf out there. But
it's probably the same book I have. Is it like a black and red kind of like tome?
Leather bound?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
I got it from Barnes and Noble, dude.
Yep.
Dude, it's so good. Yeah. Yep. I love Poe. But again, you're reading it for different things. And you actually have to have quite a bit of knowledge to understand. Like Pit and the Pendulum specifically, there's a lot of knowledge.
Oh, I love that story.
Yeah. My favorite is A Telltale Heart.
Yeah. The funny thing is we were read that story in school, and even as a kid, I'm like, wait, he's dismembering this guy?
Oh, dude. And
it's
then
like going in detail too.
And then burying him under the floorboards. Oh, dude. A Telltale Heart. I remember I read The Raven independently out of like school, because I was like, all right, well, because we just didn't cover that one in school. We covered like Cask of Amontillado, which is...
That might actually be one of my might actually be my favorite one, in fact. It's either that or Mask of the Red Death.
I was about to say Mask of the Red Death is really up there. I read A Telltale Heart's mine. I read The Raven on my own independently. Ended up talking with this girl I knew in high school, and she was like, "I just don't understand what he's saying." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "Well." She's like, I don't know. There's this bird talking to him. And I was like, no, that's his conscience. Like, the man has lost like the love of his life. And as he's sitting there in the darkness of his room, his conscience is constantly shouting out for this person that is no longer there because she's fucking dead. And she's like, Oh yeah, I didn't get that. Like
It's
as a
it's
s-
established in the first stanza that
I
he's pondering midnight dreary. Pondering midnight dreary. He's like weak and weary. It's like guy's going through grief, so he's naturally going to hallucinate.
and there
Like
I didn't get that. I'm like, and the school system failed.
like he's basically losing it. Like you don't naturally hallucinate through grief, but it's like he is. Like he's quite literally obsessed with Lenore to the point that
Yeah.
he literally has a raven coming at his door and and basically speaking to him. And for one, he thinks it's a fucking
Well,
demon.
and if you
I'm like,
don't
yeah, the
know,
dude's
but
hallucinating.
Ravens have been for a long time constantly attributed to death. It's the bird of death,
Yeah.
right? Because oh goodness, oh god, the Ravens picked out the eyes of who in the Bible?
Oh, I'm trying to remember. I know what you're talking about. I'm just trying to remember.
Was it what? Or anyway, but anyway, yeah, moving off of that tangent, but it's like I remember, and it's sort of like, man, the school system failed so hard in teaching people how to like just because and what they don't do is they don't every single day drill in reading comprehension. It's like they do reading comprehension in like the 4th grade and then do it again in 9th grade and they never do. No, it's every year, you guys. If you want people to read good, do the good read, you have to actually, teach them this stuff. And one of the things that I will never forget, we're going through Poe in like 9th grade or 10th grade or something like that. And we're reading the Cask of Amontillado. And the first day, my teacher gets up there and he goes, yep, the Cask of Amontillado. Next day he gets up there, and this is just because he was the English teacher. He was, English, literature, all that stuff. And he was like, okay, we're going to read the Cask of Amontillado. And one of the, like, that's not right. And
Yeah.
he looks up at all of the students and he goes, why? Why isn't it right? And here's me just like fucking dorky me, nerdy me that like, and he's like, why isn't it right? Just because I said it differently yesterday. And he gives it, and nobody says anything. And I didn't even raise my hand. I was like, because it's a double L, and in Spanish, a double L is pronounced as a Y.
So I will say this. I would like it when I was in. So I was one of those guys who like went through all of college, and I'm like, okay, like I'm just getting through it, But
Right.
I take
You
a
went to college. I didn't. So
I take a well, trust me, you're not missing a whole lot.
yeah, I still get to say that that college educated people like being on my podcast.
Oh, there. I'm telling you, a lot of those college educated people are fucking dumbasses. Not all of them, but a lot of them.
Don't tell them that. I have to be distinguished.
But I remember, like, even then, like, so I've read The Cask of Amontillado before. It like I said, it's probably my favorite Edgar Allan Poe story. I think it's a fantastic revenge story.
Mm-hmm.
And we get into the class, and it's like, here's the thing. For one, my high school reading class gave us better stories to read than college literature class. They were giving us trash short stories that were like very deconstructive, just bad. But then she goes, all right, today we're reading by Edgar Allan Poe, The Cask of Amontillado. I'm like, oh, dear Lord. I'm like, this is a college professor, too.
That's bad.
Yeah.
She said that unironically.
Unironically, I'm like, oh, do I need to tell her?
At least my teacher knew what it was and was using it as a teaching moment. Your teacher was just stupid as fuck.
In fairness, she was actually decently nice compared to some other teachers, but still, it was a facepalm moment for sure.
You realize she's really nice. Dumb as a box of rocks. Super nice.
Well, I mean, there's a silver lining to everything,
Oh my god.
I think it's appropriate I enter derpy mode. Excuse me for a second.
No, you're good, man.
There we go.
Oh.
Oh boy. So, as I was saying, but yeah, go ahead.
No, it just is so interesting to go through, have an understanding or somewhat of an understanding of literature, the spoken or the written word versus the spoken word, how things need to come across, and like obviously you being, and you're a writer now, you wrote a book, you've got another book on the way, which actually after reading your first book, I was going to say this, first few chapters, and I've told you this, you didn't
How
have
dare
me.
you?
We hit a certain point. Fuck you. We hit a certain we hit a certain point in the book, and I was like, love it. I'm going to finish your first book, and I'm going to put your next book on the list to buy, because I will say this, if you continue where, and not even where you left off, because I haven't been there yet, but if you continue where you've been going from, I'm absolutely going to order the second book. I think what you did in the first one was awesome, and getting to have this deeper conversation about literature and some of the books that we like, and some of the things that, and using music as an inspiration to be like, this is the tone that I want for my book, and figuring all that out. Like, it just makes me more excited to see, the Shadow of the Twin Moons, which, by the way, everybody down in the chat can go and pre-order with one click, as the Amazon do say, and click that link. And yeah, if you guys have any questions for the Lord Otter, I'm going to open the floor for any questions that I see in the chat. And at this point, we're just going to BS for a few, and if we've got questions, we got questions. If we don't, we don't.
Yeah. Do as the Amazonians do, or more. Well, actually, don't go lockstep with Amazon. Do as the
Victor Inc.
otters do.
Do as the otters do.
Exactly, because we will be your overlords. All right.
That's
but
funny.
we were talking about music inspirations, though, and I think I might have mentioned this in the interview you all did with me a couple of years ago. One of the major figures is literally inspired by me misinterpreting song lyrics.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, you've likely heard a few characters make mention of Old Man Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there is a Blind Guardian song. It's like a 14-minute long epic or something like that. Great song.
That's like when
think
Symphony X did their Odyssey album.
I think the song's called like "And Then There Was Silence" or something like that.
Right?
But it's like at one point they have like a chant in the middle of the song, and it always captivated me. For the longest time, I thought they said "Old Man Darkness," and they were like chanting that name. I'm like, man, this sounds awesome. I'd love to use the name. I look up the lyrics to the song, and it turns out they're actually saying "Roman Darkness," and I'm like, oh, I can take that.
You're like, I'm gonna do it.
I did it. And
I did it.
I'm having a lot of fun with it. In fact, you may even hear more about Old Man Darkness in book 2. Who knows?
Well, that sounds disturbing and gross. You're gonna hear a lot more about Old Man Darkness, dude. We told him to put clothes on.
It's like, damn it, Old Man Darkness! I told you to go out with your night robes, not nothing.
Not nothing. You're right. He's an old man. He don't give a fuck no more.
He's having the time of his life. God bless him. Kahuna's asking, did you like my Shakespeare for you guys up above?
I don't know.
What's the comment, Kahuna?
Oh,
I don't immediately see it.
He goes, class Kahuna shit. Kahuna is having way too much fun with this tonight. Kahuna hasn't been this active on a live stream of mine in a while.
He really likes to take the piss out of me, okay? Especially during these interviews. It's a fun challenge, I will say that much.
Dude, it's really hard to focus on the chat in this one. Especially because I know that you're looking at the chat. You know that I know that you're looking at the chat. I'm also looking at the chat. We know all of these people in the chat. It's a lot different when I have somebody here who's never been here before, and they're just like looking at the chat like, okay, I don't know, this fucking chat's retarded, whatever. And then I can more easily bypass that. But when you start noticing it and laughing, and I'm just like, yeah, and And that's how we interview.
Can I ask you a question from author to interviewer?
Yeah.
What did you think of the antagonist, General Karst?
All right, full transparency.
Go right ahead.
Her introduction was weak in that instead of coming across as a devout believer of something, she comes across very much girl bossy. As the book goes on, you start to see she's this devout believer of this hedonistic goddess that lives in the world. Very much like that characterization. Introduction, again, but that's within those first few chapters that I told you I just struggled with.
It very much matches both the pros and cons of
Yeah.
what you think of the book.
Yeah. And, but again, as she's going on, you start, okay, she's not just trying to be this girl boss general the way that I thought of her when she was introduced. Now, that could just be lack of information on my part. And like, I know you. So I'm like, why is Otter writing this girl boss? Like,
Well,
but again, and then as it goes on, and you start to see, oh crap, okay, she is fighting for something more than herself. So obviously not a girl boss. She's fighting for this hedonistic goddess, not good, obviously, but a much more compelling character. And so thinking about it in retrospect, I'm like, man, if she could have said anything about, or more things about alluding to her fighting for the goddess and her trying, in the introductory scenes with her, and maybe I just don't remember it because again, I was just getting different vibes.
No, you're good.
But I don't mind her as the protagonist as the book goes on. And that's what was really cool is I was like, in the beginning, I was like, oh God, not another one. As the book goes on, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And it's like I said, you hit your stride like 3.5, 4 chapters in, and then the book just takes off. And I think that like if you ever do decide to go back and do revisions,
Yeah.
I would recommend just really focus on maybe getting the pacing and characterizations tweaked just right to kind of fit the latter like fucking 7/8 of the or 7/10 of the book. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, the main reason why I was asking though is because one of the big things I'm doing with The Shadow of Twin Moons is I really wanted to expand on her as a character. Like, she is still very much an unambiguous antagonist. But, and this is the rule I have for myself, there is definitive good and evil, but I want both to feel distinctly human. Like, you can see exactly where they're
Yes.
coming from. It may not be justifiable, but you can tell why they think this way.
No, I like there needs to be good and evil. I'm so fucking tired of people like, well, there's nuance in my book. Fuck that. Can I just have the good guy punch the bad guy, or in your book's instance, the bad girl, and just punch her straight in the face? It's like I just want to see the good. It's why I tell people I love Solo Leveling. Why? It's not complicated. You've got the hero, and all he's going to do every episode is punch that guy harder than he punched the last guy. It's not hard.
I know
One thing that I will say this, and I was a little conflicted on this. I think I ultimately got to a point where I was like, okay, and it was, but I come from this as like, can I put this book in the hands of my kids? And one of the scenes that actually I was like, did Otter really have to do this? And I think about it now, and it's actually the scene that hit me more because I already knew the one scene that you were talking about was going to come up, like the scene.
Yeah.
And so I already knew that was coming up. But the scene where Stormbright is being tested by
Oh yeah, that
by
That
the
scene.
mystical magical dealy bits, right? We're gonna call them the mystical magic dealy bits because, but in that scene, and you know what I'm talking about with the shape shifting and all that bullshit, and I'm like, because again, my gut reaction is okay. Obviously, I'm not putting this book in the hands of my kids, and I've kind of already decided that. But I'm always
Right.
I come from it from that angle first, and then I move to the angle of okay, but how well is this written? And you fucking nailed that scene. You really did. I think I think it might have been tweak the verbiage a little bit, or just the elocution of the words a little bit.
Oh, fair enough.
But that's a personal taste thing on my part, and I recognize that that's a personal taste thing on my part. So I can't tell you, like, if other people are like, dude, this scene was great, and I'm like, I feel like
yeah.
a little bit different flow to the words. That's a personal thing on my part. I think you nailed that point because it was like, no, Stormbright doesn't care about violence or even sexual gratification. He cares about doing what's right.
Yep.
I love that. That is a character defining scene. I do hope in future books you hearken back to that and you put Stormbright up to that test again, maybe when he's in a lesser moment.
You say that. I won't say any more, but you may just get your wish.
So what you're saying is I should really check out Shadow of the Twin Moons, which you can pre-order on Amazon right now to see this scene that I just may or may not have described from the Shadow of Twin Moons in the second book of the Lord Otter, the lordiest of otters, the crowniest of otters.
Exactly.
The, if I may say so, the otter of otters.
The otteriest of otters.
Yes. I wouldn't say the otteriest.
Oh, come on.
But
Give me
like-
my moment.
Give me my moment. I mean, yeah, maybe. The lordiest. Oh, I like the lordiest. Yes, the lordiest.
The lordiest of otters.
All right. The most lordvacious.
Oh, God. Oh, God. But yeah, I will say this, and this has kind of like been...
You keep going. We're good.
Okay.
We've got the outro. You're good.
I'll say this, though. I didn't realize it was the end.
I have to pee really bad. That's why it's
Oh.
the end.
Oh, I see. I see. I was about to go on a monologue, but we can stop.
Music stop.
Oh.
You want a monologue? Damn it.
Okay.
I'll pee later.
I will say this though. This has been my experience writing both books 1 and 2. And it's been surprisingly difficult, and it's been probably the most difficult thing that's come up in revision is toning up certain aspects and subject matter and then toning down other aspects. Because already it's like you've said it yourself, this is not a book for kids.
Mhm.
Like, and it's also me constantly asking myself, does this moment fit the characters and the scene, and does it make for a better story? If it does, I'm keeping it. If it doesn't, it's going out. Like, toss it in the garbage bin. And that's the toughest part of it, is
Mhm.
it's one gigantic balancing act. And I think for like, I think this, if this was a different type of book, a different tone, a different genre, I don't think it'd be quite as difficult. But the fact is, like, you've seen some of the subject matter in this book, like,
Mhm.
especially with the villains, it's like they are not good people. The
And
idea,
really the only unkid friendly parts of the book are the villains and
Yeah.
how they live. That's it. And that's like 2 chapters. There are 2 chapters. 2 chapters are like that's it.
yeah. But I'll say this: it's how much of what's actually like, I know what they're capable of, but I'm like, how much of that do you actually want to have be part of the story? And that's the real tough question, because there are dozens of stories that misuse it.
Mhm.
And that's the tough part, because you want to be sure that you're not crossing that line. It's the idea, it's like, I want there to be an edge to the story, I want it to feel like there is danger in the world, but at the same time,
Sniper.
I just want it to be that and nothing more. And that is the tough part of this, and that's why I am such a big fan of like say like a lot of seinen manga series like
Mhm.
Vinland Saga, Vagabond, Berserk, where it's like these are stories that straddle the line.
Berserk does
Yeah.
not straddle a fucking
Well,
line.
Berserk straddles the line by going well and above over the line and telling its story. I'm not going that far.
I
I'll tell you
can't.
that much.
I don't think I could get into Berserk because I'm not that depressed of a person. Like
it's
I-
very much something where it's like you got to know about it ahead of time.
what was it? The movies from the 90s? The three movies that they did?
Oh yeah, that was like 2012, I think.
Yeah, the what is it? The
Golden Age.
Something. Yeah, the Golden Age.
Yeah.
Oh, that, and I'm just like, how damaged as a writer do you have to just be like, you know what? Life doesn't like this guy. Like, you think you've read stories or seen
Yeah.
stories about life not liking a guy? No. Let me show you how life really doesn't like a guy. And it's just like, okay, why? But, dude, yeah, I'm just like,
It is very much like Berserk is very much a story where it's like Guts is an edgy edgelord, but by all means he does earn his edgy edgelord
he
status.
fucking earns it. It was forced upon him
Yeah.
in the first fucking chapter.
Yep.
Like, yeah, there's a reason he acts the way that he does. We oftentimes refer to the people that did the stuff to Guts and Berserker. We oftentimes refer to those people in real life as wood chipper food.
Exactly.
Like, fuck. And
Yeah,
then it's just like, and then just more shit just keeps happening to him. More people keep fucking him over. And it's just like, my God, like, if somebody came up and hugged Guts, you know, in the absolute next panel of the manga, they're dying. Because Guts is not allowed to have a happy people in his life.
I will say this. I'm willing to bet you haven't read the manga. It does eventually
No.
change for Guts. It actually becomes a much brighter story after a certain point. That said, like the reason why he struggles so much, he actually has a role in Fate, and you literally have
I
a
know.
skeleton knight come up to him and say, "Yeah, you are the struggler. You are literally the one who goes through the most shit." I'm
You just see like this soul certificate just come across and they're like, give me the struggle bus stamp. Bam!
yeah, pretty much.
And it's, you will now be the struggle bus.
But my overall point though is like all of these series, it's like I feel like they emphasize, like, for lack of a better term, the struggle of things, because I like stories where both heroes and villains, they're not just like going at it and the heroes easily win. They're not just going at it and the villains ultimately win. I like it whenever it's a hard-won battle and you feel that it's really been a tough fight on both sides.
And you actually show that the villains take the villains take a little bit of the battle, the heroes take a little bit of the battle. Now, there's some back and forth there. It's not like either side is right off the bat. Like, it's like, oh, wow. You know, villains were kind of doing good here. Then the heroes were kind of doing good here. And now the villains are kind of doing a little good. And it's like, oh, there's a back. And it's like a tug of war. Battle is like a very, very bloody tug of war. But instead of tugging of the war, you push in the swords of war.
Right.
And
right.
It's less of a I'm trying to pull away and more like I'm trying to put something in you. Never mind. That was
that bad metaphor.
I should have stopped while I was ahead. Can I
stop too late? Damn it!
Can I? Lord Otter, where can we find you? I should have totally asked you that earlier.
Yeah. You can find me on Twitter and X. I go by the name the Lord Otter, separated by underscores. That's where you can find me. I'm usually shit posting and talking about writing and TTRPGs. It's what I like to talk about the most, and I'm also trolling. You can also find me on YouTube, where I often do creative streams with others such as Frequency Studios, James Esparza, Billy Bob Sack, and Frederick Guimont. On top of that, if you want to check out my books, I think Royce just put out the links in the comments, but you can find them on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the big retailers. Trust me, they're great books. Everything Royce says is wrong. They're perfect. There can be nothing wrong with them. Yeah.
Did we read the same books? Well, I can't say books. I said book. I'm actually very intrigued about your second book because, again, if you're continuing the stride that you had by the end of the first book, dude, I'm super fucking.
I will
excited.
say this, and this is something I've heard that's consistent among all my beta readers, and there have been plenty for the second book. Everyone that I know loves the prologue to the second book. Every single one I've heard of is like, that is a great way to start the book.
I gotta read the prologue. Why do you gotta make more for me to read?
Well, I
can't
guess it's all me.
Chapters 1 through whatever the fuck. Now it's like, no, you gotta read the prologue. Then you gotta read the appendices. Don't forget to read the post appendices. What the fuck? Okay. And don't forget to read the dissertation at the end of the book.
Also read. Buy the book, Royce.
I've got to put it on my list right now, actually. The Ultimate Kahuna! Doing right will cost you heroism to find it. It should. You know, and that's the old adage, though. No good deed will go unpunished.
Exactly.
And that is really what heroism is. And the purpose of that is no good deed will go unpunished is not saying that what you do is fruitless, but it's saying that your good nature is going to constantly be tested. And do you simply give up because you're being beaten down and you think your good deeds are not bearing fruit? Or do you continue and you continue and the good deeds will constantly be punished, but you continue simply for the sake of doing the good deeds? And I think a lot of people kind of forget that in writing.
Yeah, you need those good deeds, and you do need the struggle. There is the difference between doing what's right and what is easy.
Oh yeah, I 1000% agree with you, man. And I think you did again. Reading your first book now, finally, in like the last month, I think you did a great job, dude. I'm so glad to check out the second one. And, ladies and gentlemen, as always, until next time. Cheers, everybody.